Welcome to Evilive, the live media commentary show that answers the question, how many licks does it take to get the center of a dunk? Subscribe if you're new to the channel, because today we are going to be reviewing HBO's United of the Seven Kingdoms Season 1, Episode 5, In the Name of the Mother. That's right. This episode in particular, let me adjust this just a little bit more. This episode in particular showcases why this novella or novelette originally and this series is so good. It's because it's all about character. It's not about just the hyperactive action sequences, of which they are great, but this is a very intimate episode on the face of some very high stakes that Dunk is going to have to deal with. So, my favorite, well, I guess my initial impressions of this episode are, I already knew the story because I read the short story, the novelette or whatever. So I knew where it was going to go, but I didn't know how they were going to pull it off. And sweet hell, did they pull it off so well. Okay, so this was directed by Owen Harris. It was written by Hiram Martinez and T. Mickle and Ira Parker. And of course, it aired on February 15th, yesterday. So this begins with the trial of 7. And it's a nice little rousing introductory speech by Baelor. And then it just freaking goes. It just happens. And Dunk has never been tested. He's never been, as far as we're aware, in a contest of any sort, let alone a high-stakes tournament for your life against seasoned knights like he is in right now. And so he's facing down and he's just trying to process what the hell's going on. And then he charges in to the fray as everyone else already has. And that first connection between him and that shitty little prince, Makar like guts him with a lance. And here's something that you have to know about Dunk. He will take a licking and he will keep going. You cannot put this guy down. And very much like every form of brutal combat sport that we see also in our modern day eras, but of course in these sort of medieval fantasy eras, it's relentless and it's brutal. People lose limbs. They can lose lives. People suffer horrible injuries. And that is not going to stop. As these series continue to be put out of Dunk and Egg, it is a consistent issue with Dunk. He takes beatings and he bears scars. Sometimes he does it to himself. And so we just have to come to terms with the fact that no, these people are all going to be suffering at the end of this. No one walks out of this unscathed. There is no such thing as an untouched hero. Everyone takes a hit, or 10 or 20. It's awesome. So we see him immediately go down, and it's got to let the air out of the room for everyone who doesn't know this story yet, right? I know it would have taken my air out. And so he immediately drops to the ground and we get kicked to a flashback. Now, this flashback is actually slightly different from the original novel as far as my memory goes. None of this was in that original novel. It was a different variation of how he met his sire. But there's no reason why it can't have this version of it, because ultimately it's reinforcing the idea that Dunk wants family. He wants to feel connected to someone else or something because he wasn't raised with a mother. You know, she went off and he was just sort of isolated as an orphan. And he found this other individual, Rafe, that he's sort of an orphan with, and they profess their love for each other. And it starts with them stealing from the dead after a brutal battle and having to deal with this dead man. Do they try to kill him to put him out of his misery? Do they try to, steal him and try to sell him back for ransom? I mean, what's the plan here? And ultimately we learn from this scene that Rafe and Dunk, mainly Rafe, want to leave Flea Bottom, as any rational human being would want to do. Flea Bottom is the lowest of the low of places in King's Landing. It is where all of the garbage lives and where all of the people who just can't get a foot underneath them live. So they are down there. They end up stealing from this guard named Alistair. He's a member of the City Watch, and it ends up where they try to then buy tickets to get out of Flea Bottom. The tickets have gone up in price because supply and demand. So many people want to leave King's Landing, and so they can't afford it anymore. They go back out, and Alistair picks up with them and catches them saying, "I want my aleskin that you stole from me back." She says she doesn't have it. She steals his knife. He gets pissed off. He ends up slitting her throat. And that's where we see Sir Arlen come out of Pennytree drunk. And what we learn is that Sir Arlen is drunk because his squire just died. And he's sort of going through this process of, I think, partially grieving, but also this is just kind of the man he is, right? So I think the grieving is an excuse to indulge in the way that Arlen always indulges. And that is in life and drink and women and fighting. So he beats the shit out of the City Watch, ended up murdering the City Watch and the City Watch guy's friend. And Dunk is left with no one. And so he again is looking for connection, looking for someone to teach him, someone to be a parental figure. And so he starts following this guy. And of course, he doesn't have any food. He doesn't have any water. He tries to drink out of a lake and a river and ends up puking because of parasites and sickness. And that's ultimately where Arlen finds him, sort of passed out almost on the ground. And then we cut back to this brutal battle where Dunk is getting hit from behind as horses are driving by and knights are smacking him with their morning stars and maces, and he has to fight directly with Maekar. And Maekar, look, as much as you want to talk shit about this guy, he's good at fighting. He is a seasoned tournament fighter, and he has got a brutal way of fighting that is different than anything Dunk grew up just, sort of wild haymakers and grew up on the streets. The only combat he's ever been taught was by Arlen, and who knows whether or not he took it well. We've just never been presented with a situation where he knows how to fight back, and certainly not against this caliber of combatant. Maekar is wiping the floor with him, but again, it's Dunk, so he won't go down. And it gets to the point where Dunk is like, his eye is slashed. It's completely swollen closed. It's that sort of Rocky moment where he's down and he has to make a decision to get back up. And then we flash back to Arlen walking up to this passed out little kid, and he's like, "Get up." And we hear Egg in the stand screaming, get up, Dunk, get up," doing everything he can to try to get his friend not to die. Because look, even if he survives this tournament, at best, he loses a hand and a foot. And at worst, he loses his life. So there's literally no upside to giving up. So if there's any ounce of strength left in you, you have to use it and you have to get up. And Dunk knows this. He's just trying to reckon with the reality of this brutal encounter and his desire to be proven innocent of what he should be proven innocent of. He didn't steal Egg, and yeah, he beat the shit out of Maekar because Maekar deserved it. He was doing what every knight should do. And so he has to stand up for this. This is everything that is within him, and, i.e., it's his fucking life, right? So he's going crazy, just trying his hardest to get up. And then as soon as he has that flashback, he hears Egg. Dunk finally sits up and slowly gets up, and we see this great shot of Maekar. He's just like, son of a bitch. Because Maekar's hurt bad. Like, he might have an artery cut. He needs help. And he finally gets up and starts moving toward Maekar. Maekar gets his sword off the ground, and both of them are exhausted. Both of them are spent. Both of them are fucking done, but neither are going to give up. And so it comes down to Dunk in his brutal street fighting technique of throwing the guy down and beating him with his own shield and then his fist until finally he gets Maekar to withdraw the accusation. And he looks around and he sees all these other people fighting and getting wounded. And who knows? At this point, he doesn't know if anyone's died or not. All because of him, all because of this little punk ass who just reneged on the claim. So now he needs to get him to say it loudly so they can stop this mayhem. So he literally grabs him by the foot, drags him over, and has him shout it out to stop the tournament because he gives up and that's the end of it. So they do that and they think, okay, well, this is the end, right? Everything's done. Dunk, passes out. He's drug over by Raymond and Pate to get a seat and get all his armor off. He's told he's going to have to be cut out of his armor because it's all bent and dinged up and sort of stuck together. And then we see Baelor coming toward him, and Dunk drops down and he's like, I'm your man. I will serve you. I will be your knight. You stood up for me and you swore, you fought, you put your life on the line. Did he? And I will definitely serve. My entire life is devoted to you at this point. And he's like, I'm going to need good knights like you. This is a moment where A Song of Ice and Fire might go from horrendous tragedy after tragedy after tragedy to actually having sunshine, actually having there's been a couple good kings, but another good king leading a Westeros into prosperity with Dunk the Tall at his side as a knight. We have hope. And then Baelor's like, get this helm off of me. I've got like this dent in the back and I can't get it off. They take it off and it was a mace hit from his brother. I keep saying Maekar, and he wasn't fighting Maekar. Maekar was Baelor's brother, the next in line. It was Arion that he was dueling with, so I apologize about that error. But anyway, Maekar is the one that slammed Baelor in the back of the head with his mace, which concaved his skull. So when they take it off, everything within him sort of like sloughs down, and he dies in Dunk's arms. We learned that there was Beesbury also died, and a lot of other people were wounded in the melee. So on its face, this is tragedy after tragedy. And even though there's a little bit of light in the fact that Duncan is not going to have his hand and foot cut off and the accusations were withdrawn, what a price to pay for that in the death of Baelor, the crown prince, who would have been an amazing king for Westeros. He is now dead. Worse than that, Maekar, his brother, killed him. So that means that the next crown prince is a king, or is a kinslayer, which is seen as cursed across everywhere in Westeros. And yes, there have been kinslayers in the past, and they always have curses attached to them, hence this idea that it's a cursed experience. Now everyone's going to think that Maekar did it on purpose so that he could become king and not Baelor. They're not going to believe it's an accident. The king is going to hear about this, and he's like, who the fuck is Duncan the Tall? Why the fuck did my sons fight each other over him, and why the fuck did one of them kill him? This is going to have repercussions that go so far beyond just this little tournament that it's going to be felt in seasons to come and shape Westeros moving forward. Believe that. It's going to be dramatic. And that's what's so great about this series and this world that George R.R. Martin put together. Every choice and action has a consequence. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. It's never fully good because there's always other factions vying for power. And what started as this innocent little orphan who learned how to be a knight and wanted to be a knight and wanted to go into a tourney, he ended up shaping grand nations from his choices and his actions in one moment. And it will just like dominoes spread out throughout all of Westeros. It is so good. It is so incredibly good. So let's talk a little bit about Duncan's experience here. The way that they filmed this, the way that they put the story together, this is an intimate portrayal of him processing what he's going through while he's going through it. Everything is from his perspective. We don't ever cut away to someone else's fighting perspective. Anytime you see anyone fighting, it's in the background of his experience. It's very that sort of that World War II getting off the boat, sort of a bomb explodes and you hear ringing of combat in your ears. So everything's deafened at times. We get a lot of sense of that, which is frustrating, but it's immersive. We see things happening in the background and we want to visit them, but this isn't about them. This is about Dunk, and it's about Arian, and it's about their combat and how brutal and real it is. And then we just get that flashback where Duncan is just experiencing the one person that he loves get killed in front of him, and there's nothing he can do about it. And so he has to chase the man who didn't, kill the King's Watch because he was doing the right thing. I think he was just drunk and he was in a moment. He saw a wrong being done. And so he's like, I'm not doing it for the kids. I'm doing it because I'm a knight, damn it. And I'm drunk and I'm going to do it. And he murders those 2 City Watch people. And so Dunk just follows him. This is all about Dunk trying to find a connection. And it explains why he connects so deeply with Egg, because that's exactly what Egg is doing. He's trying to find a connection with another human being. He lives in a castle where he has no hope of ever being anyone of significance in a position of authority or power. He's got tons of brothers and they've got tons of sires above them. And who knows what's going to happen in the future. He's probably never going to be king. Wink. And so he's just looking for someone to connect with. He wants to be a squire to someone, but he's small. So he finds anyone. There's a natural mistake with Dunk seeing him as what do you call that? A stable boy. And that starts the whole Egg chasing Dunk dynamic, which feeds into Dunk needing to find family. He finds it in Egg. Egg finds it in Dunk. They need each other desperately. And it's such a beautiful relationship, seeing the desperation and the sorrow of Egg witnessing this brutal melee and not being able to help at all except for screaming. And to see Dunk desperately wanting to survive this, yes, for his own life, but also because he wants to be this knight that does the right thing. And that's all he was doing. And if he can survive this melee, then perhaps knights can be honorable, because everything he's seen thus far has been to the contrary of that. He can be that exemplar of what a knight should be, and he will do everything to his last breath to do it, to be it. And that's the struggle that's going on with this character. Now, let's talk about Baelor. Was Baelor really sacrificing anything? I mean, he died, but it was from an accident. It wasn't because of the danger of the melee as much as it was an accident of him and his brother meeting in the fray. Now, his brother didn't want him dead, and we're going to see the fallout of that, and it's going to be dramatic. This was not intentional. This was 100% an accident. And, Baelor said straight up, look, the Kingsguard can't hurt me. I will fight the Kingsguard. So that takes a lot of the combatants off the field ostensibly. So he knew he wasn't taking a life and death stance when he went into the fray, but this is Game of Thrones. There has to be a sacrifice. And it just happened to be the most well-intentioned, well-meaning, arguably best in 100 years potential king gets killed. And that's brutal. So now we have to live with that fallout. And like I said earlier, it is going to be a dramatic fallout. Hey, Chris, how you doing? Do I know if they're making another season? It has been renewed for a second season. They have planned for 4 seasons. There's only 3 books, so I don't know what they're going to do. At least that's what I'm pretty sure I read here. Let me just double check. Yeah, ahead of the first season, the series was renewed for a second season, which is expected in 2027. So they're doing these year after year back to back because they don't want to age Egg out of the role. And so they have to stuff these in. It is only 6 episodes, unfortunately. And I don't actually now, I'm looking, I don't see a reference to how many seasons they're going to do. There's 3 stories. He wanted to do 6 to 12 stories. So who knows if this does so well, they might have him start pumping those stories out so that they can put out more seasons. But we know we can have 3 seasons. We will have 2 seasons. And sweet hell, is it just worth it? The next story, if they're going to do the second book as the second season, it's pretty damn good too. And it's got some really, really great sort of twists in it. I wouldn't say as dramatic as this twist was with Baelor, but still pretty dramatic twists in it that endear you to these characters even more, if you can even imagine that. Because look, this is a perfect episode. I mean, it's framed wonderfully, and yes, it was too short. They're all too short. I can't keep punishing this show because of my own desires, but we should all reward this show and just spread our love for it so that they keep making it. This is the type of television that doesn't come around often, and we have to acknowledge it when it does and take time to appreciate it. And that's why I love having these conversations, these reviews about them. They're goddamn good. This show is just goddamn good, and this episode was just a perfect damn episode. So I'm going to give this 5 evil eyes. I don't have a screen for it because I didn't check. Well, I do have a screen for it. Let me fix this live while you're watching, because it's definitely worth the 5. It was so brilliantly done, acted well, filmed well. The sound design was stellar. It was just all cylinders. 5 out of 5 evil eyes. Perfect. All right. Thank you guys so much. That is going to do it for today's review episode. What do you think of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, episode 5, In the Name of the Mother? I would like to invite you to subscribe to this YouTube channel, ring the bell, and leave a comment. It all goes to help other fans learn about this channel and its content. Thank you to creator patron Aaron Hardy, developer patrons Chris Androu, and Sam Ruiz, and all of the YouTube members. And as always, like it or not, evil spelled backwards is live. So get out there and be evil.